agency has had a reputation as the only thing that DSS or DCF does is take children away. That's it. If they show up, that's what they're going to do, and that's it. So don't have anything to do with them.
Are you be curious to find out what we think about them?
Oh, sure.
I mean,
and believe me, I've had.
Let's do that by email. Much better.
Anonymously.
Yeah.
You know, last time I asked that question, it was a few months ago. It was a fatherhood agency in Holyoke. And I was sitting down with the director and the staff, and I said, do you want to give me feedback about your experience, what you hear from the fathers about DSS, then called DSS? And the staff members looked at the director and they said, can we tell them? And she said, yeah. And like an hour and a half later, literally, they were still telling me bad stories. And you know, it's just, people don't listen to me. They don't call me. They don't want to meet with me. I mean, I could just go on, but it's, yeah.
Does DCF and DSS, do they have an ombudsman? Like,
Yes.
Yes, they do. And like, do they publish, like, you know, I think a lot of people get frustrated because they made, like, part of the work I do. I'm a volunteer and surrogate parent. So I go in and I meet with the DSS and I sign the IEPs. And one of the first questions I always ask is, you know, where's the father? And all I ever get back is the father's not involved. So
Is this a foster care review that you're talking about? Is this a foster care review or where?
well, it's part of their education plan, the individual education plan.
You
So
mean
DSS
special-
shows up,
Okay.
the school shows up, the social workers show up. But when I go, I always ask, you know, where's the father? And all I get back is he's not involved. And,
Or one that I heard, oh, he doesn't have a father.
oh, I haven't heard that one yet. But you know, basically, it's always dismissed out of hand.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was wondering if there's sort of a, you know, people get caught up in the system and they're stuck with a social worker. It almost seems like they lose their due process rights because they're dealing with just like one or two people that just say no and they're sort of stuck. Is there anything that people can be given, even initially, like if they call and say, these are the resources. There's an ombudsman if you have a problem with an individual. Is there anything that can somehow be outreach to people to let them know that if they have a problem with one worker, that they do have other resources available to them?
Well, when investigators show up to visit a family, they're called either investigators or intake workers. And actually, there's a whole story about the agencies trying to change all of the practice, make it much more family-friendly and family-based. But at any rate, when they show up, they're supposed to hand out a letter to each parent explaining the process, explaining their rights to appeal, and also naming the ombudsman. The problem is that if the father is not living at home,
Right.
and they didn't track him down, then
So there's no requirement to track them.
yes, there is a requirement.
Now, who do they answer to if they don't track them?
There's no particular, you know, like that's one of the things that I'm trying to create. You know, I don't want to bore you, put you all to sleep, but
Well, it's a very important point
yeah,
because
but in an agency like DSS, one of the things that I'm trying to do is to make working, you know, when a case opens, if a father is not in the home, identify him, which can be a whole mess in the first place. And then there's also another mess about paternity, because sometimes paternity is not determined, and there have been instances where the mother and the man who's present both agree that he's a father, and then later on it turns out he isn't. So there's some things that are pretty horrible and messy that
Do you simply ask for a birth certificate at some point?
you can, but the father may not be named in the birth certificate. That's in a large percentage of times.
I'd just like to make a comment. I actually work with schools and I work with databases. One of the issues that always surprises me because I see data is that oftentimes fathers are not present. And since I'm aware of the legal ramifications of that, I've talked to many schools that operate this way, and generally speaking, if a mother enrolls father at the school,
trying to, sometimes DCF doesn't have the information, but DTA has the information, because she sought benefits from DTA, and in order to get benefits, she would have had to have named the father. That information is considered confidential. Okay? So DCF has to develop a memorandum of understanding to share confidential information.
And you're working on that?
We're working on that. We just developed one with the Department of Corrections. We're going to develop another one, and this is stuff that I'm pushing Department of Revenue, Department of DTA. There's one with DMV already. And then there's also some new software that the department is getting, which is called Family Finding Software, which, once you have a name, can actually seems to come up with more accurate locations for people.
I hope you could, people don't mind, but I'm going to follow that with a question that comes to my mind when you're hunting someone
Now,
down.
let me just say, can we go back to his question?
Sure.
You should ask, what efforts did you make to identify and locate that person? And you're supposed to be doing that. And in the materials that I gave you, if you look, you'll find that place where it says it's one of the things we're supposed to be doing. And the more you can sort of talk about it reasonably to people. Let me just say, I think that there's a level of fear and mistrust that people in the department can have because bad things have happened to people. That there was a social worker killed a few years ago, but that's really, I mean,